show there. This is on Saturday, and two historical World War II era military planes collided into each other during the air show. It was a B-17 Flying Fortress bomber and a P-63 King Cobra fighter plane collided Saturday afternoon in Dallas. This is the Wings Over Dallas Air Show, which bills itself as America's premier World War II air show.
Now,
But
Jack,
these
when he
two planes
wants to
collided.
talk to the guy, do I
6
have to hit it
people,
once and then put up the
killed in
fader, or
this,
just put up
and,
the fader?
Nope,
Ken,
just
you
put
know,
up the
these
fader.
Put up
air shows
the
in the
fader.
area. It's
Okay.
always fun to watch these air shows, but it's awful when you hear about these terrible tragedies.
Yeah, every once in a while there is an accident at an air show, and as much as safety is part of both the military flying and the civilian flying and demonstrations at air shows, we go to the one in Atlantic City quite often.
And then drop.
And
Or if they're on
there
two,
is
hit two on
always
the
the
phone,
chance
drop.
of
If they're on
an
three, what do you do?
accident, and especially with some of the
Or if they're
older
locked in on two.
historical aircraft that they maintain and bring out for
What to do
these special opportunities
Or
at air
why are you
shows.
pressing it twice?
Now,
Or I don't know why are you hitting the
I
two?
just want to mention real quick, I was a little late because we got a late report from West Point that
You know.
two of their students were named Rhodes Scholars this afternoon. And we knew one of them, Kai Youngren, who
Right?
ran
Then what do we
the cadet basic training this summer, and he ran our day. He's
So
from
let's
New
just say
Jersey,
new
and I
scenario,
didn't get
three.
all of the notes on, but
They're locked in.
we have an interview we did with him on our day, along with his counterpart,
And then one
Warren
more
Drysdale, who became the first captain of the Corps of
Drop one
Cadets.
more.
So, two West Point, one other West Point grad was named a Rhodes Scholar today on the announcements who just came out about
Right after
this
you hit
before lunch today. So
No, no, I'm sorry.
congratulations, and we'll have
Right
more on
after you
that
hit.
next week. Now, we're very pleased to have one of our friends calling in today, a veteran of the United States
You pick up the
Marine
phone,
Corps, a major,
right?
and
Then
a
you
JAG. That means he was an attorney
Just say
in the
two.
Marine Corps.
You hit two
Served on
times.
Capitol Hill when we met,
Pick up the phone.
helping us with
Two on
the
the phone.
project to update the Chaplains Monument at Arlington National Cemetery. And with us, Bill Collins. Bill, how are you
All
today?
you have to do.
Outstanding, Ken. How are you doing?
Good, good. Now, we've got a couple of topics. We're going to talk
Pick up
about
the phone.
the latest
Hit one.
meeting we just had on the
One on the
Arlington
phone.
project, but
And then drop.
you're quite an expert on military affairs and Europe and Ukraine. Jack did an excellent summary of what's been happening this past
Same,
week,
leave your
especially
So if you're
with the
done, don't
Ukrainian forces
just- so
able
if you're
to
on the
take
phone,
back
okay.
a
Talk to
city
you soon.
in southern Ukraine. And what's your assessment now of what's happening in
That's per
Ukraine?
usual.
Well, man, at this point, as we say, the Russians have withdrawn and are trying to regroup.
That's right.
Looks like if Putin's going to try and recruit the forces, that they've withdrawn from there.
I don't know
And
what keeps happening
Ukraine,
with the CD.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
just
it's
because
coming
of
out.
the Dnieper River, but more likely, I think they're going to start to allocate their forces as well to try and take more of the northern part of the eastern region there, and try and consolidate further on to
Just
the
tries to
Donbass
shove me out of
region.
the way.
Well, it certainly seems to be a major step forward for the Ukrainian forces.
You can say,
Oh, really?
One of the news reports I heard last night was that the Ukrainians can be expected to keep pushing forward despite the onset of winter conditions, that they have momentum. But some had said, well, they'll stop
Something's wrong
when the
with this
winter
disc.
weather sets in.
You should
What's
tell
your
Don
thought
that
on
we've
impact
been
of
having
winter, and
trouble.
also
Did this happen this morning?
that the Ukrainians
Yeah.
should keep
Yeah,
moving forward while they have they're having these successes?
I
Okay.
think it did.
I
Yeah, it did.
think
I
they
remember.
should grab
It
on,
did,
but
right
they
for
can't.
him.
Yes, it did, yeah.
Hard to predict how the weather's going to affect the situation. Right now, things are still mild, so they should absolutely try and push on. Now, the question is whether or not they want to overextend themselves across the Dnieper River or not. That could get a little bit dicey if they try and pursue too far and get beyond their supply lines and lines of communications. But there are many different areas where they can continue to push on Russia, like I said, concentrating more back up to the eastern region again, and focusing on there would be an area to try and put more pressure on Russia to put their forces there. Another area where they could, if they want to go just briefly across the Dnieper River, is to move further west, and there's a peninsula
Just worry,
out there,
worry
and
about
it's
it.
called the
Oh, yeah.
I'll let Don know.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna the Kinburn Spit, and that's actually a very strategic point in the Black Sea there, because three major Ukrainian rivers flow into the Black Sea at that point, and so it's impeding the ability to use inland waters to transport grains and so forth to ports on the Black Sea and to export them into out of Ukraine. So if they can push a little bit further and take that peninsula, they would open up the sea traffic a little bit better for Ukraine in the Black Sea along that area.
Absolutely, yeah. My colleague Jack McGurk was commenting on the need to continue to send howitzer rounds to the Ukrainians the Russians are firing 20,000 rounds a day, and the Ukrainians have been limited by their supplies to about 7,000 rounds a day, and that there was a project to have the South Koreans provide 100,000 rounds of howitzer armament to Ukrainians. How do you see that part of the conflict going? The need to ship, keep Ukraine supplied, and also reaching out to other countries, bringing them into the conflict.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily call it bring them into the conflict. I mean, you know, they are supplying weapons, but many of the NATO nations are also supplying weapons to Ukraine, and it hasn't brought us into the conflict per se. But it becomes a supply chain issue, and that can be, you know, with winter and with limited supplies, you know, that could be an issue that limits how far the Ukrainians could push their forces if they don't have the weapons and the armament to push the campaign. The other thing will be HIMARS. This new position gets them to the point where they're almost have Crimea in HIMAR range, and that would be a very devastating impact on the Russians as well.
Very good. The Chairman of Joint Chiefs, General Mark Milley, was commenting or quoted over the weekend saying that he'd like to see the Ukrainians willing to negotiate, I guess, in the near future. What can you read into what General Milley might have been suggesting in that comment?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure, because my personal opinion is that it would be a very poor decision to negotiate at this point. At least negotiating anything that's agreeable to giving up anything, you know, less than or anything more than Ukraine having its original integrity brought back, including Crimea. I don't know if I'm really suggesting that Ukraine negotiate away Crimea and part of the Donbass and allow Russia to keep those as some consolation prize, but that only reward Putin for launching this whole thing. And since this is not a World War II type victory where they're Russia to be occupied, they'll be rebuilding and rearming almost immediately. And it'll just start the same all over again. They waited 7 years between the last time, and they'll just wait another 7 years and launch it all over again. So I don't see the benefit right now of negotiating until Russia's agreeable to fully pull out of Ukraine, and then we can negotiate the removal of sanctions and so forth on Russia, and initiation of trade relations and so forth to help them out economically once they've fulfilled their duty to completely remove themselves from Ukraine.
Yeah, good point. There's going to be $1 trillion worth of recovery needed in Ukraine after this devastating conflict, especially in the areas that were occupied. Now, Bill Collins, we're talking to a retired United States Marine Corps member, a major, a JAG attorney. We had another meeting with Arlington National Cemetery officials on our project update, the Chaplains Monument, an 8-year saga. And Bill, you've been in it with us since day one. And maybe you could just brief the audience on why we're receiving continual pushback on this project.
I don't believe this.
And I can't tell you why we're receiving the pushback. I mean, the pushback we're receiving is bureaucratic in nature. And what the intention of the bureaucrats are would be speculation on my part. But there seems to be personal animosity towards the purpose of Chaplains Hill or the organization supporting Chaplains Hill. And also probably against the idea of a perpetual monument and the responsibilities of maintaining that.
Something pre-recorded at 3.
And I just think that the Ellington officials are
We
That's
have
one
our
of
show, the
against-
host right behind us.
allowing that monument
I'm
to
talking
remain a
about
perpetual
him.
monument
Okay.
and
They're in the.
one of the founding chaplains
Yep,
and,
there you
and religious faith.
Wow.
Yes, for our audience background, we donated the Jewish Chaplains Monument amongst our committee, working with numerous national
I see
Jewish
it.
Organizations
I
in
do.
2011. Had
I
a
do.
huge dedication, 1,000 people there in the amphitheater, and 50 family members of
Get ready.
14 chaplains named on the monument. And our committee then sought to update the Protestant monument, which had not been updated since World War II,
So JC,
and
if you want to stick
add
around,
names
you
of
can.
chaplains lost in
But I was
Korea,
gonna give the next
Vietnam, the
show
Cold
to
War, Iraq, and
Becky.
Oh, no, I
Afghanistan.
leave at 3
And also
Oh,
add
okay,
several
yeah,
names
yeah.
to the Catholic monument
That's right.
from
Thinking that.
the Iraq and Afghanistan
Okay, perfect.
conflicts.
Because this could be like the usual.
Bill, we
Yeah.
appreciate
I
all
do-
of
I
your
do.
help on
I
this.
did a lot today.
Okay.
I'm
Have
happy.
you been surprised at why, this project has taken so long?
It is dumbfounded me. I mean, when I was on
I'm
the
happy
committee,
there's an additional
at
show in the
the,
morning soon.
staff director for the subcommittee that had
That's-
oversight
yeah,
of the
that's
project, it seemed like
Usually
a
it
simple
would just
slam
be,
dunk kind of thing that,
just these-
everyone would want to
Right,
support.
a lot of
And
that, yeah.
I was left dumbfounded back then when Jim kept pushing back and required Congress to come back with a joint resolution directing them to allow the placement of the monument.
Yeah. Hey, Bill, we have to go. I apologize. But thank you, Bill Collins, a retired United States Marine Corps member and a JAG attorney.
Hope we gotta unlock them first though.
Oh,
You've been listening to the CaMMVets radio report on WVOX AM 1460, heard around the world on WVOX.com. Today's special guest, Marine Corps JAG Bill Collins. Remember to check our Facebook pages, CaMMVetsMedia, our Sea Services page, our Basketball
10
Report page,
seconds.
and our West Point Football Report page. And until next week, remember to thank a veteran.
Nice.
Right, that's a wrap.
It's a wrap.
Yeah.
Wrap, wrap, wrap.
WVOX.
Actually, JC, what we can do is just leave that in the U.S. and China.
Oh, yes, they would-
Nice show, that was
Use
good.
that,
President
more
Biden met with the leader of China
Okay.
today in Bali,
Okay.
Indonesia, for the first time as president. Speaking with reporters later, the president saying the two leaders discussed